All right, I just walked into a house where the mini split's blasting cold air straight down at the couch. And the homeowner's complaining that half the room feels like the Arctic, while the other half is still sweating. Want to know why this happens? Been installing and troubleshooting ductless systems before they were cool. Literally. And I've seen this same mistake cost contractors callbacks, bad reviews, and thousands in warranty work. The truth nobody tells you is that these systems don't just move air randomly. There's actual physics happening in that room. And if you don't understand it, you're basically throwing darts blindfolded. Today, I'm breaking down the airflow patterns that separate the pros from the hacks. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where to mount that indoor unit so it actually works the way it's supposed to. Let me start with something that's gonna save you a headache right now. Most contractors I meet think a ductless mini-split system works like a traditional register. You point it at a spot, air comes out, job done. Wrong. Dead wrong. These units create what's called a thermal plume. And if you ignore that, you're setting yourself up for a failure before you even drill the first hole. Here's what actually happens. When that indoor unit kicks on in cooling mode, it's not just shooting cold air in one direction. Cold air is denser than warm air. It's basic physics. So that cold air wants to drop. It wants to fall. The fan inside the unit is fighting gravity every single second it's running. Now, here's where things get interesting. That cold air doesn't just drop straight down like a rock. It creates a cascading waterfall effect that spreads across the floor first, then slowly works its way up as it warms and gets pushed by the continuous airstream coming from the unit. I learned this the hard way on a job about 15 years ago. Beautiful colonial home. Homeowner wanted the unit above the fireplace because it looked great there. I knew better, but she insisted and I didn't push back hard enough. 3 days after the startup, she's calling me saying the room's not cooling evenly. Of course it wasn't. All that cold air was dumping down the face of the brick fireplace, pooling on the floor in front of it, and the circulation pattern in the room was completely destroyed. I ended up moving that unit for free. And I learned a lesson worth way more than what that callback cost me. So let's talk about what you need to know about airflow physics. First principle, stratification. In any room, you've got layers of air at different temperatures. Hot air rises and sits at the ceiling. Cold air sinks and hugs the floor. Your job with a mini split is to break up that stratification and create uniform temperature throughout the space. The way you do that is by understanding throw distance and drop. Throw distance is how far the airstream travels before it loses momentum and starts mixing with the room air. Most residential mini splits have a throw distance between 12 and 20 feet, depending on fan speed and how wide you have those louvers set. But here's the catch. That manufacturer spec assumes ideal conditions. It assumes you're not blowing air into a ceiling fan, or you don't have a big sectional couch creating a barrier. It assumes the air can actually travel that distance without hitting obstacles. Drop is the vertical distance that air falls as it travels horizontally. Cold air drops faster than warm air travels upward because of density. That is why mounting height matters so much. If you mount a wall unit too low, say 5 feet off the ground, that cold air doesn't have enough vertical space to develop a good circulation pattern before it hits the floor. You end up with cold ankles and warm heads. Mount it too high, like 8 or 9 feet, and you might get good throw distance, but now you're creating a massive temperature gradient because all that cold air has so far to fall. The sweet spot I found after seeing hundreds of these systems is between 6.5 and 7.5 feet to the bottom of the unit. This gives you enough height for proper air distribution without creating uncomfortable stratification. But that's just the starting point. You gotta read the room. Let me give you a real example of how this works. Let's consider a job in a great room with a cathedral ceiling, 16 feet at the peak. The homeowner wants one 18,000 BTU unit to cool the whole space. Here's what you have to consider. With ceilings that high, hot air is going to collect at the peak like crazy. If you mounted the unit at my normal 7-foot height, all that cold air would drop and never make it up to mix with the hot air at the top. The room would feel decent at standing height, but that ceiling would be cooking. So what do? Try mounting it at 9 feet. Angle the louvers to create a longer horizontal throw and set the fan to a medium-high speed. Why? Because you need the airstream to project far enough across the room to create a circulation loop. The cold air would travel horizontally, start to drop as it moves away from the unit, hit the far wall, and then that return air pattern would pull the hot air down from the ceiling and back toward the unit for conditioning. Now, let's talk about something most installers completely ignore, the Coanda effect. This is where things get really interesting. The Coanda effect is the tendency of a fluid, and yes, air is a fluid, to follow a curved surface. When air comes out of your mini split and hits a ceiling or a wall, it doesn't just bounce off. It actually attaches to that surface and follows it. This is huge for placement decisions. For rooms with cathedral or vaulted ceilings, you've got to think three-dimensionally. Hot air is going to collect at the peak, and you need a strategy to pull it down and mix it. Higher mounting helps. Steeper louver angles help. Sometimes you need to consider adding a second smaller unit or using a ceiling fan to assist circulation. I've done jobs where we mounted the unit on a sidewall at the highest point possible and angled louvers to shoot the air toward the peak. It works, but it takes planning. Here's something else that matters. Exterior wall versus interior wall mounting. Most people don't think about this, but it makes a difference for line set routing and efficiency. Mounting on an exterior wall means shorter line sets, easier installation, and less refrigerant in the system. But it also means that wall is probably hotter in the summer and colder in the winter because it's exposed to outdoor conditions. Mounting on an interior wall means longer line sets and more complicated installations, but sometimes it's the only way to get proper air distribution. I prefer exterior walls when the room layout allows it, but I'd run lines through an interior wall if that's what it takes to position the unit correctly. Good airflow beats easy installation every single time. The last thing I want to cover is testing and adjustment, because this is how you go from good to great. After you install the unit, you don't just fire it up, check the temps and leave. Walk the room with the homeowner. Stand where they stand. Sit where they sit. Ask them where they feel the air. Too much? Not enough? Too cold in one spot? Once you understand their comfort preferences, you can adjust louver angles and fan speeds to dial it in perfectly. I've had installs where I came back 3 times to tweak settings until it was right. It's not a failure, it's professionalism. Every room is different, every homeowner has different comfort expectations, and physics doesn't care what the manual says. You've got to adapt. So, here's what you need to remember. Cold air drops, hot air rises, and your job is to use that physics to create comfortable, even temperatures throughout the space. Mount at the right height for the room. Consider obstacles and return air paths. Think about seasonal differences between heating and cooling. Use the Coanda effect to your advantage. And always walk the room before you commit to a mounting location. The contractors who understand this get great reviews, fewer callbacks, and customers who refer their friends. The ones who don't are the ones leaving bad installs all over town that give the rest of us a bad name. Thanks for joining me at HVAC Pro Blog, where we provide advice for residential system design, quality installation, and system diagnosis. I'll see you soon.